A Simplex converted to a Great Western Railway Prairie Tank. This is part 33. A simple method for drilling the holes around the smokebox to rivet the smokebox rings in place. In this clip I'm removing the smokebox from where it's been for quite a while. The very first thing I'm going to do is just draw an arrow to show me which way is the front. This is followed by some controlled ultraviolence with the handle of a hammer. Here I'm dislodging the front ring, closely followed by doing exactly the same to remove the rear ring, which is actually a bit of a tighter fit. More about this later on. In an attempt to make sure the rivets are more or less in line, I'm using a set square to draw a line across the top of the smokebox. The mounting holes for the blast pipe are not in line. This is because I drilled the holes to align with the existing blast pipe. For the next part of the job, I need to stick a piece of masking tape to a long piece of brass, or steel, or plastic, or whatever you've got. I used brass because I bought some of the wrong thickness for my traction engine side plates, but it's going to be fine for this job. After I stuck the masking tape to the long piece of brass, it was a simple job to hold the ruler in position and make a spot with the felt tip pen every half an inch. Why half an inch? Does it say that on the drawing? I've really no idea. The rivet spacings are going to look about right at half an inch. The rivets I'm going to use for this job are 3/32 of an inch rivets. But shock horror, I haven't got any. I'll buy some from Blackgates Engineering next week. This job is fairly self-explanatory. Once I'd marked all the way across the masking tape, using once again the set square to make sure the lines were straight, I removed the piece of masking tape from the long brass strip and stuck it around the edge of the smokebox. Being very careful to make sure that the masking tape aligns perfectly with the edge of the smokebox. This is the front that I'm currently doing, and I was quite pleased to see that all the lines actually did line up. In this clip, when I'm cutting the masking tape, you can see that the distance between the first mark on the masking tape and the last one is half an inch. I'd love to say this is because of the quality of my marking out, but obviously that's not so. If I was a proper engineer, I wouldn't do it this way. This is designed for beginners, plus it's the way I do it. I should really use this for the job. This is a rotary table that you can change the angle from vertical to horizontal or anywhere in between. And once the rotary table is clamped back in position horizontally, all I need to do is fit the external jaws to the 3-jaw chuck and subdivide the 360 degrees into half an inch intervals. So why am I not going to do that? Well, apart from having to change the jaws, as you can clearly see from this clip, the distance between the chuck jaws and the machine vise is insufficient, and it would take a while to remove and refit the machine vise. My initial idea was to fit a stout metal block in the machine vise to act as an edge for accurately aligning the smokebox for drilling. I need to drill these holes in the right place and allow for the flange on the ring. So first of all, I mark the width of the ring, and then I mark slightly inboard of that, but not too far forward because the thick flange would get in the way of the rivet. To start with, I'm using a centre drill to accurately drill the holes around the perimeter, but I'm not happy with the way it's working out. This smokebox was rolled from a piece of sheet metal and it's not accurate, it's not fully round. It's a slightly larger diameter at the front to the back, that's why the rear smokebox ring was much tighter. And what this means is it's wobbling about on top of the machine vise jaws, and if I carry on I will make a mess of the job. The simplest solution is to place my felt tip pen on top of a ruler and rotate the smokebox in front of a felt tip pen held on the ruler. Why the ruler? Well, the bench plus the ruler gives me exactly the distance I need the holes to be drilled from the front of the smokebox. I drill in the centre of the cross marks using a centre drill, as this allowed for certain adjustments that I needed as I went round and did it. This clip shows the final part of drilling the holes using a twist drill. And once I'd done that, I could remove the masking tape. And as I remove the masking tape, it occurs to me that I could reuse this masking tape on the other side, but I decided against that. Now it's time for the big clean-up. I need to deburr every hole on the outside as well as on the inside. It's quite easy on the outside using some emery cloth, but the burrs on the inside are much bigger. For deburring the holes on the inside of the smokebox, I use my Proxxon motor tool angle grinder. As usual, it's fitted with quite a coarse flapper wheel, and it makes very short work of deburring the holes on the inside. Yes, I think that looks okay. I've known about the inaccuracy of this smokebox for a while because it would not fit on the smokebox saddle properly. By inaccurate, I mean a tiny little bit, just enough to make it rock about on the smokebox saddle. Solution, grind a bit off on the underside. Once again, I'm using my Proxxon mini angle grinder, but you could use a file. In this clip, I'm sanding the outside of the smokebox using a piece of emery cloth. This is to key it for the paint. It's not ready for paint, but it will be soon. And now it's top tip time. It may be something you'd never think of. Both the chimney and the saddle are not a perfect fit on this smokebox. Oh dear, what am I going to do? Well, the answer's simple. Hold a piece of sandpaper on the smokebox and rub the chimney up and down on it. I can't take credit for this top tip. I read it many years ago in an LBSC article in the Model Engineer. I have quite a lot of bound volumes of old Model Engineer magazines, and I was an avid reader of the Lillian Lawrence articles contained therein. To finish off the job, I'm using some finer sandpaper. This is 400 grit. I'm repeating the process, but this time on the smokebox saddle. It's really important that the saddle fits accurately to the smokebox, because otherwise, if you bolt it all together, as you tighten the bolts, this could distort the shape of the smokebox, and I really don't want to do that. Besides, it's not much trouble doing what I've just done. It's very simple. Here I'm making the template for the rear of the smokebox. I'm not going to dwell on this. I've edited the video. It's exactly in every way the same process that I've just shown. Marks at half-inch intervals around the perimeter. Rotate the smokebox on the bench as previously shown, with the felt tip pen sat on top of a ruler for the correct distance. Then, as before, over to the drilling machine, use a centre drill first, followed by a twist drill. And as I'm going to use 3/32 of an inch diameter rivets, the holes are all 3/32 of an inch in diameter. I find this very laborious and very boring, but such is life. Then, just as before, I deburr the inside using the Proxxon angle grinder and the outside using some coarse emery cloth. Cleaning up and scratching the outside is important because very soon I will not be able to get between the rivets, but for the moment it's quite easy. In this clip I'm tapping the rear smokebox ring into position, but this time I'm tapping it further in. Originally, when it was sticking out too far, it was a very tight fit in the boiler and a bit of a pain to release. By doing it this way, I just need to put a bead of sealant in the gap between the smokebox itself and the inner ring, and this will seal the smokebox perfectly. I could even use an O-ring. Here I'm fitting the front ring. You have to be careful at this stage. This front ring must be in precisely the correct position. If the position of the hinge fittings is not correct, it will look really bad when it's finished. The next job, of course, is to drill through the existing holes into the rings and rivet them in position. But I'm really concerned about this front ring, so I'm looking at it from many different positions. I think this is okay. I don't know where the saddle's going to fit on this smokebox until the boiler's in position. And that's it for this episode. Stay healthy, thanks for watching, and as I always say, I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.